也。南无所悉地也，南无大满须耶娑。最好。也知道作业中拿来讲究马诺那里给做起，大概这年给别错那个，我那边街上个都马修。知道这个就拿来讲究马诺那里给做起，大概这年给别错那个，我那边街上个都马修。知道这个就拿来讲究马诺那里给做起，大概这年给别错那个，我那边街上个都马修。最近就是没多大，遇到零星你的干巴子，上个许多米的花园，这边那都是那这个熊。我说让他们打那个地呀打呀回去。Please adjust your sitting posture according to the 7 meditative postures of Vairocana. And think, all sentient beings have been my mothers. All sentient beings have been my mothers, not just once, but for numberless times. All sentient beings are as kind as my mother in this life. Even though all kind mother sentient beings want happiness and do not want even a small suffering due to engaging wrongly in objects of adoptions and abandonment, they do not experience any happiness but suffering. Generate loving kindness in our mind towards all kind mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all kind mother sentient beings were to have excellent happiness and the causes of happiness, is virtue. May they have happiness and the causes of happiness, or cause them to have happiness and the causes of happiness. Lama, please bless me to be able, Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate compassion towards all suffering mother sentient beings, thinking, how nice it would be if the bodies of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from the class disburdened with accomplishing virtue, such as harm, such as sickness, uh, such as sickness and harm caused by 4 elements. May their bodies be free from the discordant class. I will free their bodies from the discordant class. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if the minds of all suffering modern sentient beings were free from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue, such as mental suffering, fear, and all poison subtle negative discursive thoughts. May their minds be free from the discordant class, or free their minds from the discordant class. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if the speech of all suffering modern sentient beings were free from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue, or coarse and subtle negative speech such as lying. May their speech be free from the discordant class, or free their speech from the discordant class. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if the three doors of all suffering modern sentient beings were free from the class discordant with accomplishing virtue. May the three doors be free from the discordant class. I'll free their speech from the discordant class. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. How nice it would be if all modern sentient beings were free from all suffering and the causes of suffering that are non-virtues. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Our freedom from suffering and the causes of suffering. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate bodhicitta. First, we ask ourselves, who should take on the responsibility to free all modern sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms? I should take on the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and lower realms. Even though I should take on the responsibility, I do not have the abilities to do so now. Who has such ability? Only those who have achieved the perfectly complete enlightenment have the abilities to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, I will achieve the precious state of enlightenment.
Quindi quando oggi come conosciamo, non è che si conoscono, no? Ci vuole, non va più. Quando quando non si di vengono e non si capiscono,
Next, we generate all-encompassing yoga mind, the aspiring conventional bodhicitta that thinks, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. These transform into the aspects of a complete mundis at one's heart. And the ultimate bodhicitta, which is one's mind becoming one taste with emptiness, all phenomena lack inherent existence. That transform into the aspects of a white five-pronged vajra on top of the muktis.
So, ci vuole c'è la fine ci tratta di temi di ci giusto da che non è mangi ma non ci ma ci ci di ora che non è le scene ci sono del magie con la ci di lui e non so questo.
Next, we meditate on emptiness for a short while. The self and the aggregates are not inherently one. If they were inherently one, following thoughts would follow. The self would become many. It will be pointless to assert a self. Self was subject to productions and disintegration. It will be unreasonable to remember past lives. Karma one has done would go wasted. One would meet with karma one has not done. Therefore, the self and the aggregates are not or do not exist as inherently one. And the self and the aggregates are not inherently different. If they were inherently different, they would become unrelatedly others. Therefore, the self and the aggregates do not exist as inherently one or inherently different. As we always say, is that it's very important to conjoin the roots of virtue of our treatise with the practice of six perfections. To conjoin these roots of virtue with the practice of six perfections is as follows. The first one is generosity. The nature of generosity is a mind of giving. During these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma is for the sake of achieving happiness and purifying sufferings of all sentient beings. If I'm able to cause this mind to manifest, then this root of virtue will be conjoined with the practice of generosity. Next is morality. The nature of morality is a mind of abandonment. During these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma, I will properly abandon my physical and verbal negative deeds so that they do not manifest. Next is patience. The nature of patience is a mind that is undisturbed. During these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma, I will patiently accept any physical and mental hardships and difficulties. Next is joyous effort. The nature of joyous effort is a mind that takes delight in virtue. I will joyfully and enthusiastically undertake effort in the roots of virtue of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma.
我是我要不去周围啦，那第一个是别在的，也是不去搞别在的，是的，不是有的是的，不是。
Next is concentration. The nature of concentration is a mind that single-pointedly focused on any virtuous object. I will single-pointedly focus my mind on the virtuous object without being influenced by distractions and negativity, and without being influenced by distractions and discursive thoughts.
我觉得是我的，觉得跟弄进去，把你可能写了去模式可能性，那上过的几率还可以啊，往头我是我的吧，你要我就写的我就我一样，那第一个是别在的，这就不一样的是，没事。
The last one is wisdom. The nature of wisdom is a knower that thoroughly distinguishes phenomena. I will properly and unmistakenly understand the words and meanings of the Dharma that I listen to, contemplate, and meditate on.
这就是跟我讲的那个，这个事情，他那个上面他妈运气的，那讲就是你，一个人，原来这个是我对这个
Set a good motivation. For the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. For this, I will listen to the holy Dharma and practice accordingly in order to benefit sentient beings.
嗯，而且我越南的具体的应该是啊，不仅原来就是自己做啊，这个是吧？自己做你觉得有个好多情况就是快递，然后觉得这个的确是吧？是没错的，我觉得这他搞的啊，我觉得这啊，这
So in the first verse, that line, it says, engage in the vows of the Sukata's children. So the vows of the Sukata children expresses the objects of expression, or indicates the objects of expressions, is the Mahayana path, such as the six perfections, together with its result. And since the object of expressions is very important, that's why I re-emphasizes the objects of expressions here.
因为这两个这边，上次你把房子对吧？那是就需要来的，一定是花了，不是是吧？我是那也一个房选是吧？
Next is abandoning the faults of self-creation.
你要把这日本人去说的话，自己到这个的，我你自己懂了，日本人去说的话，
Engage in in còn đấy cái gì đủ là thằng là xong xin rõ. Yeah. So abandoning the faults of self-creations, there is no fault of self-creations because engage in the first verse, the words engage in accordance with the scriptures, abandons the faults of self-creation.
那我在老师里头过来的，就是说的，那什么，你不看见吗？你有，你知道吗？你能去，他看到，你说了你知道现在看到，这个问题在我心里头，你说了我现在今天不是，是啊，是在很多的地方，你那个稍微随着一点点那个，稍微现在一些人。 That's
No, but Shantideva abandoned the thoughts of self-creation by saying the words engaged in and in accordance with the scriptures, meaning the explanations of all the stages of the Mahayana path is explained in accordance with the scriptures of Buddha. And there is nothing that is Shantideva did not explain anything that is personally created.
people they grow up,
Mm.
they grow old.
Yeah.
But they do so the good job. Not to get so old. She said that they are just this she go to yes, you still she other come on she had what do you say yes.
And next is abandoning the faults of repetition. So some question that since Buddha already mentioned these teachings in the scriptures, then why do you, Shantideva, mention it again or give or explain it again? Then Shantideva replied that there is no faults of repetitions because there is a reason for doing so. To abandon the faults of repetition, in the first verse, it says, have summarized, then I shall describe. So these words abandons the faults of repetition. And Shantideva replies, Shantideva, there is no fault of repetitions in these treaties because um, because they are disciples whose uh, 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 whose intelligence is inferior and whose intelligence is lower and whose choice effort is lesser, and they are unable to understand the words and meaning in extensive manner. So therefore, the specific or the special purpose uh, of composing these treaties so that those disciples mentioned just now, lower intelligence and lower choice or lesser choice, they can understand the meaning in full, so they can understand the meaning of the scriptures in extensive manner, however, in lesser words, with lesser words, and they can understand the meaning of those scriptures easily and in the extensive manner. They understand it easily and they can understand the meaning of scriptures extensively in with lesser words. So this is the special purpose of invoking these treaties. So next one is to identify the four features or attributes such as purpose. So if a treatise does not have the complete 4 attributes or features, then that treatise is not to be considered as a pure treatise. So this treatise has 4 features, so I'd like to explain it.
当然，我对这个有这个区别，有时候其实可能是我说你对这个理解感到，要是对让你真的结果的，对这个压是什么？有时候其实是理解了是这个，我这个基本上真的结果的，理解啊，理解就是觉得话，有点自己。
So the 4 features, such as purpose. So there are 4 features or 4 attributes here. The first one is the first one is subject, purpose, and so forth. The first is subject. This treatise, Bodhisattva contains Bodhisattva its content that talks about the Mahayana path together with its result is the subject or the object of expression.
那就像的话，那就像对象这，后来听见流了的话，我的听见流了那上我送情况，那上我送我那习惯在那边，就像的其实发现就像有点错，这个的话，听见流了的，然后听见他听见，看到上我送情况。
So the second attribute is purpose. The first attribute is subject or object of expression, and it was the Mahayana path together with its result. So this treatise talk about the Mahayana path together with its result, and this is the subject, first attribute. And the second attribute is purpose. So by listening, contemplating, and meditating based on these treaties or in relation to these treaties, one understands object of expressions or the subject. These treaties is the purpose.
比如啊，文化体系，说到文化，你说的第二点，自己你去第二个，第二个呢，就是第二个去了啊，第二个去呢，第二个去过的，或者去过两性的两什么，或者去过两性的两什么呢？你看，全部清楚啊，全部清楚头发，上帝去把头发是第五话，这就把头发是第五次，我看是。
And the third attribute is essential purpose. So essential purpose also means ultimate purpose. So ultimate purpose or essential purpose means that through understanding the meaning of the objects of expression, one practice accordingly and eventually achieve the great enlightenment or achieve the state of enlightenment. So this is the essential purpose or the ultimate purpose.
那这个时候的嘛，这个时候的，什么什么嘛，没那么的花心，花心，对吧？那听起来可能不是缺的，他可能比较喜欢。
And the fourth feature or attribute is connections or relation. So it means that the later, the first 3 features, so the later does not come about without the earlier. So this is the connections or this is the relations. Or you can say that later relates to the earlier or relates to the former. Relates to the former one and the connections. So these are the 4 features or attributes.
我再了解吧，那个你要不是二十三个时候看到听这个，是去什么编辑学校，编辑电影哇，编辑电影对，对话是就喜欢，不是去是编辑都知道，然后而且给全国的，他编辑电影不是去的嘛，他编辑弄的球流嘛，是吧？
So this treatise has the complete 4 features or attributes, and these 4 features are subject, purpose, essential purpose or ultimate purpose, and connection. So these treatise has the complete four features. If any treatise doesn't have the complete four features, then it is not to be considered as a pure treatise.
那他背下来呢，我说有时去有啥，我就背下来呢，我肯定，我看不定本子的，跟我都不是去的资料的，那我肯定不干不是去的资料的，是背下的，那我去我是这个我到了真的，去了弄不得，我今天把它拿学一下，是吧？第二个，关系，第二个这个结果，我也得找能给他东西。
Pova sede ningu sede. Yeah. So to give you an example to illustrate these four features or attributes, then the example and a speech that is factually concordant has the complete four features, whereas a speech that is not actually concordant doesn't have the complete four features. For example, a factually concordant speech such as hot holds water. Hot holds water is the object of expressions of that speech. And understanding the other person, understanding this speech, the purpose of that speech. And the essential purpose of that speech is the other person understanding on such understanding. One, bring the water and free from the sufferings of thirst with the essential purpose. And connections or relations is the first three, the later does not come about without the former. So this is the relations or connections. So I repeat, the object of expressions of that speech is holds water is the object of expression, that speech, and the other person understanding speech is the purpose. And depending on such understanding, person drinks the water and free from the sufferings of thirst is the essential purpose. And the connections, the last feature, connections of relations is the later does not come about without the former.
自己给他讲的你说的话，还是企业是对不对？并且不是企业给他好好的结果讲的话，有点可能对什么这个事情，如果还有的是如果的写的话，这个你没说的，你没写啊，我可能是在这上头说，明白，这是的，是吧？很清楚。
So in relation to these treaties, then one must understand the four features of these treaties without referring to your text. Without referring to text, then you must be able to tell others. If someone were to ask you, then you must be able to tell what is the object of expressions or the subject of these treaties, and what is the essential purpose of these treaties, and what is the connections of these.
我的是吧？那这里讲的是什么？这里是。通话刚才有我听了，通话刚才有个是吧？完全的开始，开始，他也是吧？吧。
Then the purpose of promise to explain, one of the outline, then the purpose of promise to explain is to complete what has been promised.
那第一讲的我说，对对对嘛，这话我就写，第一个呢，我说，连接。因为事实，第一事实对了，不是如果的话才你要问你那边，你这个话起来说，因为你什么问题或者看去说，
Yeah, so previously, Dr. Goh asked questions about the children of the Buddhas and Bodhisattva is born. Higher Buddha is born from Bodhisattvas. So it's a very good question. So regarding this, I would like to give some explanation. So because in this verse, in the first verse, it says Sugata children. So children, Sugata children is referred to Bodhisattvas. So Bodhisattvas are the children of Sugatas or children of Buddha. And in entering the middle way, it says higher Buddha are born from Bodhisattvas. So it seems kind of contradictory. So the first sentence it says Bodhisattvas are the children of of Buddhas or conquerors. And then in the entering the middle way, it says higher Buddhas are born from Bodhisattvas. So it seems contradictory. However, there is no contradictions between these two. So regarding the first sentence, Bodhisattvas are the children of conquerors or children of Buddhas. So in general, when we say hearers and solitary realizers, they achieve their personal liberation, personal state of liberations by depending on the Dharma of Buddha Dharma, depending on Buddha Dharma. So hearers and solitary realizers, they achieve their personal liberation by depending on Buddha's teaching. Satu讲sem su ke ba la讲sem su ke ba ne讲出sem ba yeah. And Bodhisattvas Bodhisattvas are the children of Buddhas is because Bodhisattvas newly become a Bodhisattva. Bodhisattvas newly become a Bodhisattva depending on the Buddha's teaching. So, but therefore, we say Bodhisattvas are the children of emperor. Yeah. Yeah. So Bodhisattvas newly become a Bodhisattva or newly born as a Bodhisattva by depending on the Buddha's teaching. Another way of saying this is Bodhisattvas is born in the Buddha's family by depending on the Buddha's teaching.
讲这什么的，这结果嘛，啊，没事的，没事的，结果嘛，对的，什么上级就是一个，什么的一切，我去什么，什么上级就是一个，上级就是我的结果，而且非常剧烈，就是说人事的，大家他人事的话，人事，那人事影响，我就是的结果嘛，也是。那结果呢，变得长期生活在上级社会，一个上级阶层的阶层去也是，
嗯。And even though it says Bodhisattvas are the children of the conquerors, it doesn't mean, or it is not necessarily, it's not necessary that those Bodhisattvas are born from, generally born from the Buddha. And it's not necessary that Bodhisattvas are born from the general Buddha. Sangye Chizamba ina tiang kazas Sangye Chizamba said,
这样子的，
Titangi Sangyero.
那是这也是，
Yeah, so it's not necessarily, sorry, it's not necessary that Bodhisattva are born from general Buddha.
他这个时候，就是说呢，你看他，就是说人性你是不学生的话，你是，讲就是说人性的这个很多啊，是这个对，那上面的讲就是什么呢？因为是这个是吧？
So this is meaning of Bodhisattvas are the children of Buddha or conqueror.
那上面讲就是什么呢？从小不要变成逆人是吧？变成逆，那讲就是什么？从那逆人是。
In the second sentence, it says Bodhisattvas are born from, sorry, Buddha are born from Bodhisattvas. Buddha are born from Bodhisattvas, and this has two meanings.
这个呢，你把这个看的，然后具体往的，那具体的，让你所有选择的这个代表什么？我呢，你具体往的去，我知道，我呢具体的往的去，主要是你有的是。
So Buddhas are born from Bodhisattvas. This has two meanings, and these two meanings can be summarized within these two in terms of being the same continuum, and the second one in terms of being the different continuum.
然后你具体的说的，上面我们的，然后没有人去，然后我自己能讲什么？然后呢，听我们一个，然后呢，听我们一个，具体把他们写过来，然后你嘞，然后呢，你详细的按讲什么？也是，给写过了，然后呢，听我们一个，就是说，这个人讲是老板的出马的，也是。现在话，
你就这边产生的能量人的钱呢？
你积极的去，然后你积极的去，可能是你，我也知道过，不是那个，我也知道过，这个可能是自己能干，不是。
The Buddhas are born from Bodhisattvas, and it has two meanings, and these two meanings can be subsumed within these two in terms of same continuum and in terms of different continuum. So, in terms of same continuum, meaning Buddhas are born in dependence on practicing the uh, practicing the path of Bodhisattvas who has the same continuum. I repeat, in terms of same continuum, meaning Buddhas are born in dependence on practicing the path of Bodhisattvas who has the same continuum.
我的是吧？基本的写到这些是吧？基本的这个城市的分别，还有他们喜欢的是什么？我具体我的是什么？那是不是他对我的对象的留意？对吧？上去中间点的话，对吧？上去的你，这个对吧？中间点，好的，不是说是吧？咱可以全面接受，这个咱粮食能把它给把它给把它出来吧，给这个出来吧。 어디서 따라서 부모님을 주시는 뭐예요?
Buddha yang gesu nanti rangkyu seti.
내가 때문에 내가 때문에 이게 때문에 내가 부모가 주시는 무슨 거 당시 지원을 남았어. 바라지가 지원이 지원을 남았어. 당시 위에 수고가 지원을 지대. 얘가 지원을 막 되게 영어를 말 많이 하서는 인터넷에 대한 선대와我听我们就我第二天，我那么的，那咱可以求东西，人家基本上讲什么，咱可以求东西，求那个，我是求了嘛，求了就求吧，我这里是那，我是求了嘛，这玩意儿是他妈的，第一，这地方是嘛的是，求，
yang selam bala tene sangi.
这地方上的话，那是什么的话，
So regarding the first one, in terms of the same continuum, so example for this is our teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni. So Buddha Shakyamuni, during the time of Buddha Kashyapa, when he was a Bodhisattva called Brahmin, the unsurpassed Brahmin student. So he was a Bodhisattva, the unsurpassed Brahmin students. So they have the same continuum because he was a Buddha Shakyamuni. Earlier lives of Buddha Shakyamuni. So earlier life, one of the past lives of Buddha Shakyamuni. Then he was a Bodhisattva, the unsurpassed Brahmin student during the time of Buddha Kashyapa. Then he was on the path of training, and depending on this, and depending on the practices, then he eventually achieved the state of enlightenment. So this is in terms of same continuum.
我在这几句话就是话，我在这里对吧？我们这些对吧？这种的全部是把它进入的话，老讲什么嘛？对的，对的，把它听我具体的描述嘛，对，这上去是不，老讲什么嘛？对，是什么投生长，对，然后的我们具体的强势的出好的啊，我们具体强势的出什么？
Yeah, so Buddha Shakyamuni, our teacher Buddha Shakyamuni, and during the time of Buddha Kashyapa, he was a Bodhisattva. He was the unsurpassed Brahmin student. So during his path of training, then he engaged in practices and eventually achieved the state of enlightenment. So therefore, therefore we say that this is an example for Buddha is born from Bodhisattva in terms of, or from the perspectives of being the same continuum, being the same and uncommon continuum. So Buddha Shakyamuni and Bodhisattva during the time of Buddha Kashyapa, and they are of same continuum.
具体我的现在出到的整个上级城市是吧？出是吧？那上级城市是吧？出是吧？就台里边我的出到的，那然后呢，就台里的城市是吧？咱们去用这些没确定吧？对吧？那然后呢，就台里的城市是吧？咱们去的还有这些确定吧？对呢，大家对吧？上去不错是吧？我第一次就台里我们是什么的出是吧？
大家蹲巴下个图吧了。
我那就他挺不成立，全被今年也变过，但是给几去变吧，我变成去变过来是呢，我等于有的今年一去变过来，但是好玩吧，一不嘛多是的，然后呢，就他的成什么服务所的。
And the second meaning or the second perspectives of Buddhas are born from Bodhisattvas is in terms of different continuum. So Buddha Shakyamuni regarded Bodhisattva Manju as his teacher or as his master, and rely on the teachings taught and eventually achieve the state of enlightenment. So Bodhisattva Manju is a different continuum from Buddha Shakyamuni himself. So the Bodhisattva rely on his teacher, Bodhisattva Manju, as a teacher and rely on his teaching and eventually achieve the state of enlightenment. So therefore we say that Buddhas are born from bodhisattvas from the perspectives of being a different continuum, because Buddha Shakyamuni and his teacher or his master, Bodhisattva Manju, are of different continuums.
What? What are they? That did not be started on this one, which one you want to when you want to see to use it when you choose so there are not don't be is a lot of Sunny Chinese in it is Chinese one to not Sunny Chinese one to not Juchi wants you to not Italian wants you to not mission yes. Well, immediately the Juchi wants you to Italian wants you to not be yes.
So in case if you read the text Entering the Middle Way, composed by Dolores Chandrakirti, saying Buddhas are born from bodhisattvas, then how do Buddhas born from bodhisattvas? How is Buddha born from bodhisattva? Then you must understand that there are two ways for a Buddha to be born from a bodhisattva. So then the two ways or the two perspectives are one is of being the same continuum, and the second one is different continuum. So the way Buddha is born from bodhisattvas from the perspective of different continuum, then the example that I mentioned just now was Buddha Shakyamuni regarded bodhisattva as one of the past lives of Buddha Shakyamuni, regarded Bodhisattva Manju as his teacher or master, and rely on his teaching in eventually achieve the state of enlightenment. So this is how a Buddha is born from a Bodhisattva who is of a different continuum, who has this different continuum. So you can also relate it to yourselves that we, a student or disciples, rely on the teachings taught by our master, taught by our teacher, and eventually achieve the state of enlightenment. And this will be an example for Buddha born from Bodhisattva from the perspective of different continuum. So among these two perspectives or way how a Buddha is born from bodhisattvas, among these two, then the second one, which is of different continuum, is more important, because one eventually achieves the state of enlightenment by relying on the teaching taught by a teacher who is of different continuum.
反正是比方说嘛，第二天更多说上去把出来说吧，我上去去把这个，那上去第讲的啊，就是中国的，也是这个东西，很多的吧，就是中国的，那成是什么头脑就是你去在吧，你太定东西嘛，头脑经常那去往的，现在头脑一些都到那地方走，他们这样子。
So just like the explanations that I've given regarding how a Buddha is born from a Bodhisattva, from the perspective of being the same continuum and different continuum. So as I mentioned just now, between these two ways, the second one, which is being different continuum, is more important. So because one eventually achieve the state of enlightenment by depending on the dharma or teachings taught by another taught by our teacher. So, and by relying on the teachings taught by our teacher, then we ourselves practice the path, practice accordingly, practice the path accordingly, and develop bodhicitta in our continuum. And when bodhicitta develop in our continuum or generated in our continuum, then we ourselves become a bodhisattva, and we continue to practice, and eventually we will achieve the state of enlightenment. So this refers to the first perspective of how a Buddha, or first perspective of first way of how a Buddha is born from a bodhisattva. So first we practice the path taught by the master, and we develop bodhicitta in our continuum. We ourselves become bodhisattva, and we continue to practice and eventually achieve the state of enlightenment. So this is the first way of how a Buddha is born from a bodhisattva.
那他的就是商业城市说的，可能发带的，我在这边我当年我讲，他就讲的是我主要的修的，嘛是一句话的现在主要的离开我，那是你修，这把修女要先去建立的改变是啥？我在快递我在读出来，快递那条哎，上讲的是我的中国说的，大概离开的我的现在我呢我是去给我的土壤地方。基本上哪里地方主要修理，那对讲到修理，哪里起来从我看来就是关于这个哪里他自己就定啥啥，这是怎么去讲定啥啥的，对吧？那可能我在这里才不太东西。
So this is the general explanations of how a Buddha is born from a bodhisattva. Then there are two ways. And the first way is a Buddha is born from a bodhisattva who is of same continuum. And the second way is Buddha is born from a bodhisattva who is of different continuum. So different continuum, the second way or second perspectives is one relies on the Dharma teachings taught by our teacher or taught by our master. Then we practice the path, practice the teachings, and eventually develop bodhicitta in our continuum, and eventually achieve the state of enlightenment. So then this is the first way of how a Buddha is born from a bodhisattva. So this is a general explanation. And if we were to go in depth, so if we think about it and deeper and deeper, then it will involves the practice of six perfections and etc.
那这个就是可以的，刚我做完了，变成的前面的做嘛，你说这些没经过用的的这个，也就开放了大了，这个是经历多，快点来成功，是吧？
So then the next outline is abandoning arrogance and the reason for enthusiasm in the composition. So in the root text is just first two lines of second verse. There's nothing here that has not appeared in the past, and I have no skill in the art of rhetoric.
现在这个也是经过希望的，并的那些的说嘛，还是那点的，区别说嘛，意思，这个说的是什么？这个的话，这个大家的嘛，是这个一样的这个，并的那些的说嘛，也是
Yeah. Sorry, the first two lines of the second verse, there is nothing here that has not appeared in the past, and I have no skill in the art of rhetoric. So indicates the abandoning arrogance, and it was not composed mainly for the sake of others. One of the outline of abandoning arrogance and the reason for enthusiasm in the composition.
我根据的这个做嘛，这时候他这个主要是这样，他好像主要是他收入呢，就到我一句话呢，他收入的我喜欢引起，那你怎么，而且必须把这个主要的是吧？你怎么对待可以东西，那点我认为。
So regarding this sub-outline, abandoning arrogance was not mainly composed for the sake of others. Then there is a question of saying that if it was composed exactly in accordance with the scriptures, then it can be realized in dependence on the scriptures. Why then did you compose this treatise?
他这个嘛，练的了的，他练的是我的，他讲的，他收入了点了，不你的刚才，现在点了等于到一个什么一个说，是吧？练的，收入了，他收入了被大的，说话有一个，收入了什么点到了，点了不你点到贴上去，点了不你的刚才是这么觉得等于到一个，是吧？不得是吧？
So to answer this, then this treatise is I did not compose this treatise for the sake of other person who can understand it, who can realize the meaning of scriptures easily, who can realize the meaning of scriptures easily through listening, contemplating, and meditating on the scriptures, on the scriptures. So I did not compose this treatise for the sake of other person can easily realize the meaning in dependence on the scriptures.
那对没有这个，那就这么信，对吧？对吧？说了点了，不你别搞那心里的，那你的慢慢一点，这个是呢，学习里边，我们就说了的没用呀，就是这样的给你这种GPS，写要嘛的是吧？写不了是吧？那刚才普通大概就对吧？我学习里边，我们就说了的没用啊，就是这样的。
Yeah, so to answer that, the Shantideva said that I did not compose these treatises for the sake of other beings who can easily realize the meaning in dependence on the scriptures, because then the reason is there is nothing, not even in the slightest, expressed in this treatise that has not appeared in the scriptures in the past. So this is one of the reasons. So there's nothing here, there's nothing, not even in the slightest, expressed in this treatise that has not appeared in scriptures in the past. So there's nothing, not even the slightest, and how does it taste? Nothing. Yeah, there's nothing, not even in the slightest, expressed. Expressed in this treatise that has not appeared in the scriptures in the past, and there is nothing expressed in this treatise that is more than what has appeared in the scriptures in the past. And the second reason is, even though there is no difference in terms of the meaning, it is not that I have the skill in the art of rhetoric, such as in the conjugations of light and heavy syllables with respect to the words.
这个这个什么意思？那就是我吧，那是就是你们的，那就是你们的好过说，以前我这个收入的关系嘛，就是那样你听见的就没事，是吧？啊，那你的收入呢，人家还吃个白酱，吃了一教完的，别忘了是的，那地就开吧，地就开吧，那地就开吧，那对，已经开吧全部做了，那个，然后今而且这样，你去背也是对他可能也没什么，是吧？哎，那么。定期了开吧，开吧忙过去了吧，开吧忙过做了呗，了，马上被连续开发的做呗，是个查法力气的，力气中央的力什么理由或者是是吧？开不出能把车来去，开发的开不出的这些理由，是吧
？So depending on these two reasons, Shantideva composed these treatises. So the first reason is there's nothing here, there's nothing expressed in this treatise that has not appeared in the scriptures in the past. And the second one is, even though there is no difference in terms of the meaning, it is not that I have the skill in the art of rhetoric. So, meaning that is not Shantideva say that he has no as a yeah he is not skilled in the art of rhetoric or and is yeah 的 Kiva 那的 Kiva 查吧，
现在的话，就是现农界的店，开发情况的农界的店，是吧？开发情况农界的农我呗，那话的意思，开发情况现在农会了吧？农界的开发情况我是
农具
农界的店，我这边
啊，
农界的店开发出话的基础，开的基础，听见的，基础，那
在切度嘛，
我切的那就切到，你看那个听见的，懂吧？意思啊，中国的理解的意思，是吧？一处不过你就把你觉得你的什么什么意思，啊，也是的话，啊，意思，
Yeah. So the second reason, even though there's no difference in terms of the meaning, is not that I have the skill in the art of rhetoric. So he also says that Shantideva did not compose this text to please those adepts, those intelligent adepts. So Shantideva did not have this intention to please those intelligent adepts. So that's why Bodhisattva Shantideva say that it's not that I have the skill in the art of rhetoric.
我觉得话，那看到等到那看中是等到的，你上班没有是，眼睛马上就没你就开发到了一个嘛的事，是吧？那看到等到多少现在，人的虽然批评人家的中的是，还是看中是看上的人家是，看上的放在那个话，放在那。包括这样，两个多多的东西，我的啊，具体的那都面前关键东西，你就看不到了，要不好意思啊，你就看不到了，要不好意思。然后是吧？等等，虽然批评人家的观念，这学习对，学习对，这是一个很明显，一个很
全场吃了 K
哦，两个虽然批评人家重点是人家的观。人家去了开发什么意义上的大家搞定什么的，我话这个重量是学习对我的，
Same
学习对吧？学习对是咱们意思吧？那新疆对不对？哪家的包包的，哪家的包包的，对，是说的上班没事对对，哪家包包的，是的嘛？你哪家包包没有团的话，是几团嘛？你对的咯，是吧？去装备也行，但年纪装备的对，根据那个好多虽然这个你天生就装备，你得到多少钱？你就根据装备的对，那个好多根据装备是看样没上的你天生有了，大家是吧？你天生就装备，你去得到天生得到了什么意思的话，天生就装备，你得到是天生更重的得到的。
So abandoning arrogance in Tibetan is called Kyung. So King has the meaning of pride or arrogance, and Kyung has the meaning of abandon, stopped. So abandoning arrogance is expressed in the second verse, first two lines. So it says, there is nothing here that has not appeared in the past, and I have no skill in the art of rhetoric. So basically, what it means is having destroyed the pride, having destroyed the pride, thinking that he is skilled in words and meaning, with a mind that is calm and pacified, compose this treatise. So this is how Shantideva abandoned pride and composed this treatise. So having abandoned pride, being skilled in words and meanings, and with a calm and pacified mind, composed this treatise. So in brief is, Shantideva did not have pride, thinking that this treatise is the most supreme one.
我就是结果喜欢了一点嘛，说，跟旧人的边界，现在的嘛这些，的生活是吧？现在的跟旧的现在的多嘛这个些，现在的多嘛这是呢，两个都在这里，跟旧的现在的多嘛这是呢，我觉得波比多呢，这边以前呢平时听不进，你上的你上班的也是我，
我的那件，
是吧？我觉得波比，我叫波巴，我叫波巴的托呢。 当以前了，那全部兄弟比你上班的意思了嘛？这个现在上班的是，根据现在的状况，这是吧？就当上去，现在是全部学完了，学一点的当家的话，你学一点当家的，根据现在的做嘛，你是学一点做嘛，这少的，我觉得包包的做你，这边呢，偏把全部就打不一定啥，跟吃法不是，理解。
So in brief, Shantideva did not have the pride, thinking that this treatise is the most supreme one or unsurpassable. So, and under this sub-outline is abandoning arrogance, and it was not mainly composed for the sake of others. So means that Shantideva did not have the intention, did not think that with pride that I'm going to benefit other sentient beings with pride, or having the pride and then go and benefit sentient beings. So Shantideva did not have this intention that he.
你说的理由是什么？到底说的理由是什么？
Yeah, so Shantideva did not have the intentions that he has the pride, and then with that pride, intentions or arrogant attitude, and go and benefit other sentient beings. Shantideva did not have this intention. So in general, even though the sub-outline says that it was not composed mainly for the sake of others, so however, one should understand that in general, Shantideva, the deeds of Bodhisattva Shantideva is for the sake of others only.
就是这个学了，天主的现在的东方嘛，也就开把俺了要嘛的，而且嘛去啊，俺家要嘛的，但俺开把嘛的，他开嘛的，你说的，他地上地那边，也是这个学了，开把嘛一个工人，俺的这个不会，地上有没有钱？但是呢，地上呢，嘛多把用，嘛一开始的了，一些钱，没时间的没法学习的，对吧？摸不到地上，地上摸不了钱。 用文化的这个东西，讲是对我们有个是吧？
其實你記翻咩企咩實啲，你日田生而家點嗰啲，
田生嗰啲就這麼說了，我也這個這個什麼沒有人
對，
那地上有不多，地上面的，我了研究有我了多半有我技術是我呢就說了，那本我呢要把時間去想，對對，那個是啊，
Yeah, so Bodhisattva Shantideva says that yes, he is not skilled in the art of rhetoric, but he is not a scholar, he is not an adept. And then probably for people in the modern days, we will really believe that Shantideva is really not a scholar and adept and skilled in the art of rhetoric, because nowadays people tend to believe whatever other people say. So if a person say that, claim himself, claim that he has realizations and he has such and such good qualities, and then modern people tends to believe. Sorry, modern people tends to believe whatever the other people say. And then if someone were to say that, oh, I have no quality at all, I'm not a scholar, I'm not skilled in the art of rhetoric, and etc., then modern people would tend to believe that also.
那有时呢，其实这个这个是个这个的意思。对吧？中国人嘛，这个人嘛，要什么？我听的是意思的，有的就是当然的，就是给我全部记得我的说。
Yeah, for modern people, then they tend to believe whatever people say. So if they claim that he or she is Manjushri, he or she is protector, Maitreya, Genresic, and etc., then they will believe that and develop faith in that.
那真的也是经过学的，你就给我拿来好反正是根据做的，基本当把一个根据哪个情况情况的，根据中国或者基本当把一个就那个定位的是吧？是吧？然后基本当把这个根据做的就全部的是吧？基本当把是，基本当把这个根据做的，那就是在那比较开发的，现在开发的，现在那个团队开的就是这个是，那根据这个做的。中国或者基本上把你打给死了，是吧
？So in fact, when Bodhisattva Shantideva said this in this treatise that he is not skilled in the art of rhetoric, he is not a scholar, adept, and etc., then in fact one should through this then one should understand that Shantideva is in fact a holy being. And the treatise that he composed is an excellent treatise because So under the outline, abandoning arrogance and the reason for enthusiasm in the composition, the first sub-outline is abandoning arrogance, and it was not composed mainly for the sake of others. So this we have already covered just now. So the second sub-outline is the reason for enthusiasm in composing the treatise, and this indicates in the second and third verse. These 4 lines. So he says, therefore, not to enact the welfare of others, I compose this in order to acquaint it to my mind. For due to acquaintance with virtue, the force of my faith will, for the time being, increase because of this. And this line, it says, therefore, not to enact the welfare of others. It relates to what Shantideva mentioned just now. It was not composed mainly for the sake of others. Then what is the purpose of for Shantideva to compose this treatise? Is to acquaint his mind so that whatever he had already known previously would not degenerate and would increase. So the purpose for Shantideva to compose this treatise is to acquaint his mind with whatever he had already known, right? So then again, in relation to this, there is a question. Then the question is, if you compose this treatise for your own sake, if you did not understand it, it is inappropriate for you to compose it. If you understood it, then it is appropriate for you to just familiarize with it. Then what is the purpose of composing this text?
就是给这个地方机会是吧？给我家起步，我得去把它去哪起步，是吧？给我家起步，完了是吧？给我家起步，我得去把它去哪起步是的，是吧？那大概也把它贴到的，理解了什么呀？我得工作呀，对吧？那么多都是，对吧？贴到理解，那全部是什么呀？虽然我得工作呀，起步，你是也是对你起步。
So Shantideva said that there is no fault because it is for the sake of continuously acquainting his mind with the vast virtue that he had previously engaged in, and also to improve his mind, so to improve the force of his faith, wisdom, compassion, and so forth.
那可以让你可以去的嘛是，这里看到，那让你记得，比如点的点起，然后呢，搞完年嘛，搞完年嘛，为了，那搞完年嘛，搞完年嘛，先去讲，那不是去了去的，不是去的，我也看到中国的也是，对吧
？And besides this purpose, and if others of same fortune or equal fortune see this treatise, they will also understand. They will understand it. This is the purpose of composing, for Shantideva to compose this text.
刚刚都多些，我电视剧的什么到了，没有是的，我要看到我的他们的热气是吧？的那时候看到这个，现在看到片面，其实反正说片面什么，那多现在现在片面就好嘛，因为也是，现在经过学的，现在片嘛就还有，那电视剧的什么到了没有是我的话，我电的什么到了没上的，这个的，然后被现在片吧片的，我把它俺这个目的。这些呢，平白起来的，你生活起来也是我的，不要搞价。每个家是经过学了，现在生活的就是那个，是吧？我肯定给他好好结婚的。
Yeah. So Shantideva in the second verse, third line, it says, therefore, not to enact the welfare of others. So saying that Shantideva did not. If you read it literally, then you would, you would think that Bodhisattva Shantideva did not have the intention to work for the welfare of others. So if Bodhisattva Shantideva, if you were to understand in this way, then if Bodhisattva Shantideva doesn't have the intention to work for the welfare of others, who would have this thought or attitude of working for the welfare of others? So even so means that Shantideva, when he said, therefore, not to enact for the welfare of others, or did not have the intention to work for the welfare of others, means that, therefore, Shantideva did not have, Shantideva did not enact the welfare of others with arrogance or with.
那么最可能的是现在上班到了没事，最可能多少钱我都好过是吧？那现在上班到了没事吧？你中国的现在上班到了没事吧？那就是个什么帮助的嘛，对吧？这件事情我学了一个。
就是现在上班到了没有？
提前了看，看到这个吃不到了，但是最可能都是这样的啊。最可能都是这样的。啊，前两天呢，开始的我把它来这里的另外一个。他叫你现在分不清，那是上班的没事，那都跟你讲没事吧？我把它拿掉的，那些也是经过学校的，比到这个身体些一切的啊，你那边，你那里就是我们在新闻条，写的是吧
？Yeah, Bodhisattva Shantideva all the time and only think about benefit other sentient beings. So even though there is the words are the third line, it says therefore not to enact the welfare of others, then you should understand that Shantideva does not enact the welfare of others with arrogance, or he doesn't benefit others with the attitude of arrogance.
这个也把它讲清楚啊，就是现在生活到了民生，这里面现在家庭温度，那个俺家就是，快点就到了，现在家庭温度上面俺家就上班的，应该是对了个的，现在家庭温度是俺家就上班的，俺家就上班去了，对，现在家庭温度应该是对俺家就上班的，这个不知道，但是现在多情况下没什么。
So in brief, you can understand that Shantideva does not have the intention to enact the welfare of others with arrogance. Or you can say that Shantideva doesn't have the arrogance to work for the welfare, doesn't have the arrogant thought to work for the welfare of others. That things are going to work for the welfare of Shantideva do not have the intention, arrogant attitude that thinks I'm going to work for the welfare of others.
当然是说嘛的，搞个两百年前的呀，就电话是这里话，那对了，那他搞完两百年前讲，一定那可能这样吧，就是这样个事，你对吧？我自己，听讲的，搞完两百年前的呀，有这个这，那他搞完两百年前的话，
先给点度，
我
给我，
搞完两百年前的，
So then the third line and fourth line of third verse. If, however, these are seen by others equal in fortune to myself, it will be meaningful. So it is composed for the sake of others who has the same fortune to Shantideva himself.
那搞完两百年前的呀，你关键的，到了搞完两百这块这个啊，在经济角度啊，那就就在学着各方面都，然后通过呢，各行业两些话，行业是这个样吧。理解的意思话，我在高安理解的意思是话。
As shown to about data. So wherever is stated in these treaties is for the sake of other sentient, other beings who has the same equal, who has a same fortune to Shantideva himself.
我们现在嘛，就从那明显的了，这个现在就不一样了，他们也是，我们看到有点吧样，他定的也好，他定的了看到啊，两人要不结婚呢，都我的定的看，现在他们把这个他那我全也是说他很多的，我在那写，也是这个东西呢吧，给他写的也是我，两人要不行，定的情况多。
So if one practice according to these treaties, then it is a supreme method or unsurpassable method for one to engage in sutras and those commentaries. So to engage in sutras and commentaries means that to understand the meaning of the sutra and commentaries.
我就说，他的高阳吧，马学生，他这类我是当就是过年去吧，他等于做出来，他等于做的下游吧，做出来，他的这类我是他等于做的什么
？So next class, I'm going to talk about leisures and endowments, or freedoms and endowments. So before I'm talk about leisures and endowments, I will stop for question and answer. You know. You are using Mari. You are using Mari.
有没有？
等到比较新一节目。
You sure there's a question in the chat? In the chat. You say Sheila, you said when you explain the first reason Buddha is born, Bodhisattva is born from Buddha, but you also have a last sentence say it's not necessarily so. in general Buddha. Can explain that? I read for you. It said that, but it's not necessary that Bodhisattva are born from the general Buddha. Can Ishila elaborate on that sentence?
So, Kishalane di Sangi Janshi Sembale, even yeah, Janshi Semba Kiwi Se, Janshi Semba Kiwi Se Res, any damn Tama Dejela Kishalagiang, Kiwi Se Ying Yang, because a Kiwa Jizambala, Gimigula, the Kiwa Jizamba Ariresa.
脚我上知道那是设计服务的是吧？脚啊，这个上级的是，你脚上级给了在进步的，他这样上级进来，就咱们你给了进步，啊，摄影上给了进步嘛。
然后你得把它服务的全他的呢，
是吧？
其实你得上给我记账吧，是的，
脚记账，脚上真是的。
然记托你开始给我的拍印吧当，得写的我的播音吧的你呢，然后。
你把小手下来，你这个人呢，那给你这个嘛也是，
其实
是吧？给你这个嘛也是。
因为其实你空气对到样空气调啊这样给我记账吧，还是这啥？跟他的卡的这。
我记账吧，上去记账不这啥。
其实跟他的卡的这啥？上给记账，上给记账吧，那得对他卡的这个。
这账吧是700块钱，你交啊，300多嘛，700块。 要现在对我是700是吧？要现在对我是要700吧？要上班个模式呢？700来噻。吧？但这张电话这张嘛是这样的些嘛，记得几百嘛也是，是吧？这张电话这张嘛几百嘛也是，这张电话这张嘛几百嘛的，啊，马上那你电话现在对我的几百的也是的，上这个具体他这个，他具体他这个电话就对我听电话的700的话是听有了吧？但这个长期我是电话这张嘛可能。 这些形容，那长句什么？要介绍吧，见得多，要介绍吧，要介绍吧，这个是大家都能确定嘛，对呢，结嘛是什么结嘛，有了吧？
应该送人了。给我记账吧，给我的其他吧有了。
我介绍吧，要我承包我们的，要我现在推广是要我介绍吧，也是，我们对了，要介绍吧，那这张吧是介绍的情况嘛些，介绍的其他给托你，我其他给讲完，也是。
Yeah, so general Buddha, so we say that it's not necessary that Bodhisattva are born from the general Buddha, are born from general Buddha. So when we say this Buddha, it can, how say in this context, and they can be divided into two, general Buddha and particular Buddha. So general Buddha means that it is not, it does not relate to or does not refer to any particular Buddha. So general Buddha, so particular Buddha, for example, Buddha Shakyamuni. So Buddha Shakyamuni is a particular Buddha. So general Buddha is the opposite of particular Buddha. So you can say that Buddha in general or general Buddha.
那都是讲了，那讲究什么呢？这一些晓得，那讲究什么？这一些是讲究什么？让你用这个去讲啊，让你用这个去讲啊，这叫对不对？谁是呢？
让你用这个，
让你用这个讲啊，现在对吧？确定把这个结完，
让你用这个，
让你用这个去讲究什么？让你用这个讲啊，现在都确定把这个结完，没有的是，没有的是，你是有的是知道吧？知道吧？你是有的是讲究什么？那讲究什么？ 然后你用这个叫我现在都把确定把这个结果，然后你用这个上前跑把去确定把这个结果有的是，然后你用这个上前跑把是吧？然后你用这个上前跑把去确定把这个结果有的是，那这张条就什么的，叫我这怎么这个这个嘛，也是的，大部分是，然后用这个那然后用这些的，不叫我这个都知道吧？那么上前跑把那个，然后用这些叫我。 这是的话，那就可以，我的你确定嘛？你这个也是，你这个的呢？
这是什么的给有了
啊？是吧？下过来，城市把你，然后你用这些要城地方去地方讲，你这个城市把你调起来的话，其实不来呀，这样，你来呀， 장주 심바 대화시 좀 제시를 해야 말이에요. 장주 심바랑이 우지의 집이 대화시 하세. 이 집에 맞는 이 지에서.
지상에 장수 셈바 기와 제다발라 제다발레 기기오 통기오리 이네디 기와 지장발레 통기오하리
장주 심바 세요 말이 심바의 세에서 바로와 세에서 장주 심바의 랑이 우지의 대화 제다발 지 집에 맞는 제발에 예스 장주 심바의 지단 대화 제발 예스 지단 대화 지선 그런 게 말로 하시 이게 말로
Yeah. So bodhisattvas are born from Buddhas. So means that bodhisattvas are born from particular Buddhas. They are not born from general Buddha. So, for example, bodhisattvas are born. Bodhisattvas are born as a bodhisattva by depending on the dharma taught by particular Buddha, such as Buddha Shakyamuni, who is one's master. So, I repeat, bodhisattvas are born as a bodhisattvas by depending on the dharma taught by a particular Buddha, such as Buddha Shakyamuni, who is one's master, one's teacher. So, and bodhisattva is not necessary that bodhisattva born. It's not necessary that bodhisattva are born from general Buddha. Means that bodhisattvas are not born as a bodhisattva by depending on a general Buddha. So because that general Buddha is not one's master, is not a particular Buddha who is one's master. What it means by is not necessary that bodhisattvas are born from general Buddha.
지난 상제 바바데 먼저 얘기해 봐. 그래서 시야에 봐.
지난 상제 바바.
지난 상제 바바에 먼저 얘기해서 그래서 또 그래서 이게 봐요. 이게 그래서 나요. 먼저 상제 바바. 이거 인기지. 먼저 때 소소在너무 생기 이제 뭐 먼저 상제 바바 얘기 그래서 너무 서로 뭐 좀 해보지. 먼저 상제 제라고 상제 그래서 너무 서로 뭐 좀 하자. 이게 뭔지 진짜 we should get about it. So you let you see Jesus, yes, what? You see Jesus, yes, you get about it, you get about the Nazareth, the church said, you get a face, what? Or this guy is
So, in general, we do not say that, Aya Buddha is my teacher. So, we do not say in the general context that Aya Buddha is my teacher. So, however, we do say that our root guru, our root lama, like for example, Kirtan Lama Soparamacci, who is an Arya Buddha, and depending on the Dharma teaching taught by this teacher or this master, then the student develop bodhicitta in their continuum. Then this is how it means by bodhisattvas are born from particular Buddha. So I'm not born from general Buddha because you do not say in a general context that Arya Buddha is my teacher. So however, we do say that by depending on the Dharma taught by a teacher or master, for example, one's own root guru, such as Kapsya Lama Soparamacci, who is an Arya Buddha, then one develops bodhicitta in his or her continuum, then one becomes a bodhisattva. So that's why it says that. That's why it means. That is what it means by bodhisattva are born from particular Buddha, not from general Buddha.
Can I ask a question, Krishna?
Yeah.
When you say that the Buddhahood from the perspective of same continuum and different continuum, does it also mean? Can it also mean that Buddhas do not necessarily have to evolve from another Buddha? Meaning, the first Buddha if we follow the concept of no creation, then the first Buddha must have been a self-arising Buddha, right? And because of the self-arising Buddha, then he came up with the Dharma, and of which all the subsequent Buddhas eventually depended upon to become Buddhas. So can it also mean that there is a possibility, there is this eventuality of self-arising Buddhas rather than from the same continuum? I suppose the perspective of different continuum could mean that, but I'm not sure.
其实来呢，可是，这当今就是的，可是上个讲什么的，空把些的样，团体有了哇，那有几把堂，有他的有了哇，那有几把堂有他的堂，其实来的样，其实讲话，让这马些，让口话的来那的有了，被他查下呢，讲上个人呢，引进民进。yang sangge shinda jila sangge yi chue la sangge shinda jigi chue la tene sang ge ba tene yingo ma re pe na kan yin na sangge tangbo ngoma ne sangge tangbo de yang sangge shinda jila ten ma go ba ro sangge shinda ten bi chue la ma ten ba ene di zang zong sangge ba ro to so la tene sangge ba ro dang zong gi sangge sa de 디자인이랑 제라 생기 담보대 상기에 최대한바 아니 대한 강사 심진신다 최대라 때네 상기야요바 디자인이랑 루치 당 주타데세데 오알렌당 오아데네 레나 디요라스 삼로 데네 땅나 디요라스 상기 담보대 양 상기 신다 지기 최라 마테 말와 상기 담보로 시에네 상기 담보 세게 말와 상기 담보데 상기 신다기 출라 마테 마 소소 냠렌 제바 소소 냠렌 제바 아니 상기네 소소 냠렌 제바 상기네 아니 대제라 추에 지체라 생진 신다 양 상기 바차 상기 차야 된데 있노 도와 렌당 도와 된데 레나 디요라스
근데 맞아 나 주주요한테 시는 연애를 잘 모르는 주주요한테 시는 상지 처음 봐 주주요한테 시는 나 상지 가서 일단 가서 인사를 이 플라마서 다 상지 담보는 거 같으면 지금 봐 일단 가서 다 상지 때 나에게 말해서 우리가 상지 처음에 돼
당연히 대화 있는 데 상기 담보 요나
무슨 저 거라 통화 기술서를 나오 잡아 예 공부 기술서를 그리고 기술서 어떤 막 상지 관리 담보 상지 시나 연애 제가 다른 예 답을 하지 않게 하기는 게 되는 제가
거나 양계수 네 가수
상지 담보이나
상기 담보이나
하지 하고 하고 하기는 게 보다
상기 합에 합
Quindi sta giocando, ma sta per il bagno, lo parla di negare ciò da nidi da transmissione go, perché come va naso di ma quindi cazzo anche di ma transmissione non si fa. transmissione non si fa.
데데 나야 데 규지바 데 지요로
규지바 데 이거로. 나 안게 다 소리 쳐. 나 이거를 지다.
랑 합에 하로 때네 상기 와로 So, so when we talk about first Buddha, so if you were to say the first Buddha in this world system, then we can identify the first and second and third Buddha. So, however, if you were to talk about first Buddha in a general context, then it would be very difficult to identify the first Buddha in the history. So, however, if you say that the first Buddha, if you were to identify the first Buddha, then that first Buddha also depends on his or her supreme deity. Depends on the supreme deity, and eventually develop the bodhicitta in his mind and eventually achieve the state of enlightenment. So these still can be subsumed within the first category, the first division, which is of same continuum. So because the Buddha, the first Buddha depends on the supreme deity, develop bodhicitta in his mind and eventually achieve the state of enlightenment, right? So these can be still subsumed within the first division, which is of same continuum. Yang Tibetan yang di dunia jiro.
So my question is that to be a Buddha, you do not have to have a previous Buddha, meaning that there is a possibility, if you have all the causes and conditions, to be a self-arising Buddha. If you are, for example, in an island with no teachers, but if you practice bodhicitta, if you practice and from past life imprints, you continue the practice, isn't it possible to be a self-arising Buddha without necessarily having had a bodhisattva to lead you to that path? That's my gist of my question.
Jinan kungi tiwa de yang sangkia la yang sangki shinda jila de makum inde yongsi yonas. Tapi na cha shana kungi pe de ji xia song pe na cha shana de ling tian jin nang lo lai ling tian ji la yo ba mi ji an sa ji ma do yo ma ri. Ini yang shinda ma de ma ro shinda de ma ko ba. Ini yang susu yang di kiwang awa yang bahasa yoba ini yang susu dia讲究 sim yin je den so ko ini 讲究 semba chawai na di kama dia yang 讲 singe chawai na ini yang den yong si yo na sangkia la kasa sangge sila tema ko ba yana sangge ngama tema ko ba sangge yong si yo na sangge si yo kiwang ama ina de keba yo ma
이게 맞대보다 선지도 같은 거 많고. 대부분 공부해서 이거는 아주 단계야.
대단히 대한 개와 미지에 양 링켄 진나로라 현 대마그 바 수수 바차 때네 근데 자기 생양
오면 때오라. 민족기라 또 기라 가서 되게 대봐서 서로 지마야. 맞아. 때에서 와는 아주 저
이게 때마 그거 봐 상계 장마 때마 그거 봐
이게 맞는 것은 모두 때깔에 있어. 세상지가 요즘 많죠. 이거 그냥 가고 모두 아직 개발되는 공부가 더 넘었어. 개발되는 공부가 더 중요해서. 개발지야 뭐 이게 되는.
Yeah, so it's almost it's impossible for one to become an enlightened being or to become a Buddha without relying on previous Buddha. So even though if you say the example that you mentioned in an island, then you have some imprints left in the previous lives, then you meditate accordingly, then you meditate, then you eventually become a Buddha. So still in the past lives, you rely on a teacher, right? You rely on a teacher or you rely on an Arya Buddha, then you listen to the teachings, then in order to leave the imprints in your mind so that in that life, in the island, then you have that imprint, right? So that imprint left in your continuum still depends on someone, still depends on someone, a Buddha or a teacher, and etc. So it's impossible to become a Buddha without relying on a previous Buddha or without relying on a teacher. So then you will be like, you can meditate without first listen to the teachings.
So, 이제 와서 시대 막상 이번 대화나 중국어나 식으로
한다.
맞아. 네 원시. 네 원시 원래 사실 계속 하는 시발했어. 중국어 시발했어. 하고
기타이나 성기 담보인데 내가 가보려.
That begs the question: how did the first Buddha arise?
데데이나 계실라. 데데이나 데 성기 담보데 반대 상계 말이스.
담보에 상지야데 가까데 기치는 이 정말 된지 일단 내가 엄마가 와서 얘기 듣지 정말 생각 또 저는 저희 둘이 놀아
begin to like
Big like that's not your way model. I intimate go. That's not the Tamil. Really sharp one time. One time. Big like in the sun. Yes.
begin day and in Jimmy the Sangyo. Sangi Omaro.
Something about Francis. You know, I never put away that. Trying to talk about this and what I
지상인이 기긴 된 거래. 얘네 대상 기긴 되는 인지미지 상기에 인고 말이. 근데 이나
이게 정말 사비 이거예요.
지
이거예요.
지 얘네 이 상기야라 상기 담보데 상기야라 기긴 되 지라 땡겨라. 기긴 되는 인지미지 대 상기 인고유나.
이게 상지.
지상인이 그냥 기긴 되는 상기 이마 그 봐. 지 기긴 되라 때네 양 상기 도그레스.
그게 대 상지 연구를 해서 나도
된 là 인고 말아. 된 là 이시가 말아. 가이스나 서기 담보 될라 차로.
상지 담보서 야 답에 리바기다 봐. 맞아 지원도 지원 제 요다 지원도 다 상지 담보는 그다음에 상지 담보는 이 얘기가 맞게 봐 상지 돼야 봐. 얘기를 상지 연구하면 모르겠어.
기긴 지라 땡기오래. 얘네 되 기긴 대야 상기 인고 말이.
이게 뭐야 얘기 맞지?
그래서 yeah, so first of all is to identify the first Buddha in the history, then it's very difficult. And however, for the first Buddha to become enlightened, then he or she must rely on the teacher, and not necessarily that that teacher is not necessarily an enlightened being. So yeah, so if it relates to your first questions to become a Buddha, not necessary to rely on previous Buddha or enlightened being, then yeah. So this is the answer Kishla gave. So for the first Buddha to become enlightened, he or she must rely on a teacher, and however, it is not necessary that teacher must be an enlightened being.
Thank you.
This question is very hard.
It's a very difficult question. Yeah.
Thank you, Geshe.
Yeah. Thank you.
We conclude these Dharma discussions with dedication. We dedicate these roots of virtue to the flourishing of the Dharma and to the excellent happiness of all sentient beings in general. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to all upholders of Buddha's Dharma, mainly His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to live eons long, to have excellent health, and may all their enlightened activities and holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously and spread in all 10 directions. And in particular, we dedicate these roots of virtue to our beloved teacher, Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche. May the unmistaken reincarnations of Rinpoche be returned as soon as possible and turn the wheel of Dharma for the sake of all sentient beings, for the sake of teachings and sentient beings, so that we will have the opportunity to receive profound teachings from Rinpoche again. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to the world peace. May excellent happiness prevail in the world. May wars, conflicts, disaster, natural disaster, pandemic, diseases be pacified immediately.
我们其他天马当共同上波的样的系列的当分别接触到手机给我一大大的了。他们不接嘛，接把那有直接把两把没发扬过的话，但是他们不接嘛，接把那有直接把两把没发扬过的话，因为特别让期间是在看见这里边，像那边莫得听个说老师话的说现在。我就看那边的网流吧，看那就会是被行动，看那是那边听叫做老师，他的些人会说，我健身也让到路上跳啊，也是就把这种跳有嘛对不对？对不对嘛对不对？给那时候有时候做呗对不对？你说起现在这边前辈话了，那样必须是被国家的准备就是老马说话的，对嘛对这边。因为等到嘛就多一点，那进入这把这边工作后期我是得一点嘛，为他去做工作进了当给谁当给都给了，这都没这没有不是，给到这边都有些说，啊，这认为各位情况的平常的话，马律就是你今天希望对这个做下面是的保护分组分局。